So you keep seeing a spot of oil in a part of the eyelet that just doesn't make sense? Well, it's probably a microfracture. Hey folks, we're back again with another video, and today we're going to be working on a 2020 FOX Factory Series DHX2 rear shock. I'm going to be doing a full service on this shock, and I mean a full service because this one here is damaged. The eyelet has a small little microfracture. Oil comes out of it if I put pressure on it, okay? Now, typically this isn't worth fixing in most cases unless you come across a really great deal on the eyelet, because the eyelets on their own are pretty expensive. Let's face it. I mean, you can buy a used shock for the same price as an eyelet, right? So for this one over here, it made sense because I came across an outstanding deal for an eyelet, and ultimately it'll allow me to build this thing and make it brand new again, okay? Now, if you own a DHX2, it absolutely behooves you to learn how to service these shocks. These are great shocks, but they fail unpredictably. Typically, it's just the seals to get blown. You do not have to do a full service every time that happens. Most of the seals in here will last quite a long time. It's only those couple of seals that will, well, go bad over time due to friction and wear. And sending it in, $200 to get it fixed, or you learn how to do it and you could be up and running before you know it, all right? So what I'm gonna do in this video is break down what's needed for a service and what I think is optional for a service in order to make life easier for you guys to, well, service your own shocks and make it as quick as possible so you could get back on the trails and having fun, all right? So with that being said, let's get into the tools and parts needed for the job. As for tools, the most important tool on this table right there, safety glasses. Wear your safety glasses. This is a shock. It has oils, it has pressures, all right? So in order of use, first we're gonna write down our settings, pen and a paper. We're gonna need a 6mm and a 3mm Allen to turn our dials to, well, write down our settings. Then we're going to take the 6mm and take off the reservoir cap. Underneath that cap is a Schrader valve. I made the Schrader valve tube. Only costs a couple of bucks at your hardware store. This is nothing more than a Schrader valve tool to a bolt, essentially, right? Or you could use your shock. I just prefer to use this so I don't damage that by mistake, right? So then we're going to separate the damper body, 29mm wrench, Nip-X, adjustable wrench, whatever you want, but 29mm crowfoot in order to torque it down when we're done, and you want to torque it down right. When we open it up, the body, we want a bin to put the oil into. Then we can work on the damper shaft, right? Take out the piston assembly, 11mm socket for that. Make sure you have a very thin tie wrap or zip tie in order to collect the shim stack, okay? So then later on, when it comes to putting everything back together onto the shaft, this bullet tool, you don't have to, but I highly recommend getting this bullet tool because you could damage your seals on the inside of the bearing assembly while trying to put it in. Don't take that chance. Then you have the option. If you want to change your shaft, you're going to need a 9mm soft jaw with heat. You're going to need Loctite to put it together. If you want to change the seals in the outer tube to the eyelet, the main eyelet, you're going to need a soft jaw with a 30.9mm shaft and heat, most likely, to separate that. You might not need that, but chances are you might, right? Then you have the option to work on the dials, and this is totally optional, as are these two, by the way, right? So totally optional. If you decide to work on the dials, first you're going to need a 1.5mm Allen to take out the dual compression. If you have the dual position knob, 1.5mm Allen to remove it. The rebound has a special tool. You could use the bottom of the cap. The reservoir cap has the same tool. I have a dedicated one because, well, I could use my ratchet or my torque wrench to torque it down. But technically, you could still use the one on the cap to do it. I'll show you that later. But for the compression, we need a 15mm chamferless preferred. This is chamfered. So in other words, you got a beveled edge. You want a chamferless, right? Now, underneath the dials are the valve seats. You do not really need to take these things out. You really don't. You're only taking them out to inspect them, and that's it. If you do take them out, there's two different, well, it depends. If you have a dual position version of the compression dials, then you're going to need this particular tool over here with all these nipples. And for the rebound, you're going to need this castle looking tool. Now, if you don't have the two position, you're going to need the castle looking tool for both of them. If you have an older one, like a 2016, it's actually a different tool. I don't have it here. I'll show you that later. Okay. So again, this tool over here is for the eyelet to help me, torque down eyelets. It's great. I highly recommend just going to get one, right? So then when it comes to bleeding, now I have this little bleed process. We'll go over it later. It involves a rubber glove, a rubber band, and shipping tape in order to make me a longer reservoir so I don't make as much of a mess. As far as syringe to do the bleed, we're going to need one. You're going to need this FOX tool over here. I'll put the part number below. The bleed tool in order to be able to connect to the shaft, right? To remove the bleed screw, actually, I forgot, 2mm Allen to remove the bleed screw. To set the IFP, you could do it with just a caliper, but I really like FOX's tool. In fact, I use the caliper to make sure the FOX tool is set right because sometimes it's hard to see where this thing's at, right? So then to fill up the IFP, air, you could use nitrogen, you could use regular air, and ultimately we will need a torque wrench, and that's pretty much, oh yeah, and picks. Make sure you got a bunch of picks. If you have plastic picks, even better, okay? Let's go on to the parts needed for the job. As for parts, we're going to be needing a seal kit. Part number 803-00-950. This will service 2016 to 2020 DHX2 shocks. Now, very important, depending on the year shock you have. The 2016, 17, and 2018 came, I'm pretty sure 2018, came with these self-locking nuts that held the piston stack to the shaft. And holy cow, did those lock nuts have such a grip on the shaft that removing them would damage the shaft. In fact, you could shear your shaft off, literally just crack it right off. In fact, my first time years ago, it literally stripped all the threads, which forced me to get a new shaft. FOX has since fixed the problem. They came out with a new nut. It's not a lock nut. You just use a little bit of Loctite Red on it and you're good to go. So if you have a 2016, 2017, 2018, you are absolutely going to buy the new nut, part number down there. It's only $2. And I highly recommend buying a shaft if you're going to do this job. Again, list price are about $20. Just make sure you get the right one because it's size dependent, right? They're based off your shock length. So just make sure you get the right one. And these are like $20 list price. You can get them less if you look around, right? In order to make your job a lot smoother. This is a 2020. Technically, I'm pretty sure it's going to have that new nut in there. I don't technically need the shaft, although I never checked it. That might be damaged, that shaft. But ultimately, the reason I got this shaft was, well, I got it for a decent price as well. And, well, I had to change the eyelet anyway. By the time I'm done, this is going to be pretty much a new shock, so why not change the shaft, right? So, again, typically this isn't worth doing unless you get it for a really good price. List price, these things are pretty much more expensive than used shocks. Just go buy a used shock at that point and buy a service kit and service it on your own and you're good to go, all right? As for oils, originally I think it was like 10-weight red, but then they went to 5-weight R3, I believe, and then 5-weight PTFE, but now everything is 4-weight for the most part, although I might end up just using the 5-weights just to get rid of one of them. I want to get rid of both of them, right? So we'll see how it goes when I get to that part. Well, grease, SRAM butter, Slick-Oleum, Slick Honey, whatever your preference is. Well, that's it for parts. Let's get into working on this shock. First, we're going to start off by writing down our existing settings so we can put everything back to where it was when we're done with the job, right? So the DHX2 has high-speed compression, low-speed compression, high-speed rebound, low-speed rebound, right? For the high-speed compression and high-speed rebound, we need the 6mm Allen. What we're going to do is we're going to put it in there and turn it counterclockwise to fully open it. Now, very important with these shocks and the X2s as well. Once you get to a point where you can't go anymore, right? It feels like you could go, but you just, when you press lightly, you don't feel a click. Stop. Do not force it. And that goes both ways. If you force it, you are going to damage your dials. These are very sensitive. So you only want to take it to a point where you hear click, click, and then when there's no click, it turns, but there's no click, just stop. Don't apply pressure. Just stop right then and there, and you go back to that first click, okay? And you're done. Now, I don't have to write this down because, well, who knows what's going to happen with this shock. There's going to be a whole new setup. So we're going to do the same thing to the low-speed rebound. You're going to turn it all the way counterclockwise until you can't. Don't force it. That's it. Once you go and it moves just a little bit but doesn't want to move anymore, you stop it right there, okay? And you write down your settings. And then we're going to take a 3mm Allen and we're going to do the same to the low-speed compression, low-speed rebound. Turn it counterclockwise. This one was already at the end. Again, just to give you an idea, turn it counterclockwise, and then when you get to a point where it does not want to go lightly turning it, stop. You'll damage it big time if you try and take it any further, all right? So very important. the 2-speed position. We don't have to worry about it. Just leave it to the open for now. Next, we're going to clamp the eyelet to flat jaws on a vise, and we are going to take our 6mm Allen and remove this cap on the reservoir. This is literally nothing more than a cap for the Schrader valve underneath it. So turn it counterclockwise, just like this. Oops, sorry about that. I hit the camera, it's too close. And that's it. Now, one thing to note about this cap that some people might not know, this cap can be used as a tool to remove the dials, right? So for the compression, first you take a 1.5mm and remove this top cap up here, but then you could use this guy here to literally remove the dials and put them back in. You could even torque them down with a 6mm, okay? So just an FYI in case you didn't know that. Next, we're gonna grab our 3mm and some paper towel to remove the air from the reservoir. So press down on it, and there you go. The reason for the paper towel is just in case oil mist comes up, we don't want to breathe it. Next, what we're going to do is we're going to press down on the Schrader cap, and then there's going to be a spring on the inside, a C-clip, right? Grab the C-clip with your fingernail and try and lift it out, or you could use a pick. Sometimes it gets stubborn. My fingernails aren't long enough. Great. Well, I'm going to need a pick. All right, let's see if I get underneath here, just like that. Be careful with it. And just lift it up just like that and put it on the side. Now, to remove the Schrader cap, a little hard to do with your hands actually. I made this tool. Basically, go to your local hardware shop. This is a Schrader tip and a regular nut altogether. I think it costs about $3. Or you could use your shock pump. The only reason I don't like using my shock pump is just in case it puts too much force over here and does damage to it. So this little tool, like I said, you can get these parts at your local hardware shop. It's nothing more than a bolt and a regular Schrader tip, and that's it, or connector. And we're going to take it and put it on the side. Now we're going to remove the shaft on the inside, right? So in my case, 29mm wrench, Nippex adjustable wrench. You don't need one of these things, although a crow's foot later for torquing it down, that's a necessity, right? So I'm going to take it in this case and remove it. All right, should be enough. Do the rest by hand. There we go. Lift it up. Be careful. Oil will probably want to come up with it. Nope. Oh, you know what? The thing stuck. Usually there's an inner tube in here, and that stayed in there. Okay, we're going to take this and put it on the side. Now we're going to take our oil and empty it out. When it comes to oils, folks, please dispose of them properly. Don't put them down the toilet. Don't put them in a sink. Don't put them outside. Don't put them in a garbage. Put them in a bottle clearly marked. Don't drink, danger, and then give it to your local bike shop. Give it to an auto shop. Give it somewhere where they could dispose of it properly, all right? Next, we're going to remove the inner tube since it didn't come out with the shaft. Now, a plastic pick is preferred over here because we don't want to scratch. So the X2 and the DHX2, they have a circulatory oil system. In other words, the oil goes round between the different tubes, right? It doesn't go back and forth, back and forth. It fully circulates, right? So what we're going to do is this tube on the inside, hopefully you can see that well, has holes on the top. Just take a pick, put in one of the holes, and then just wiggle it up, just like that. Next, we're going to remove the IFP. Now, best way to do that is with air, if you have an air can, but this one's actually low. I might need to get another air can. Right, so what we're going to do is we're going to take the tip, we're going to put it in there, and then we're going to try and seal it, the whole thing, best we can, but put the rest of your hand over the reservoir so it doesn't pop up in the air, right? So again, seal it as good as you can, and then use your thumb base with your palm, essentially, and then with your thumb, just put it over the reservoir, and I don't have enough pressure. Look at that. Okay. I'm going to need to get another can. Got a new air can. Let's cover it. And there we go. Ta-da! And we are out. Oh, wow. Huh. Well, it's pretty evident somebody tried working on this thing before, because if you look carefully, you could see gouges over here. So my guess, somebody couldn't take it out and they used the pick to try and remove it. I mean, this side's okay, so we're good here. Sides are okay. This side doesn't matter as much. Definitely doesn't matter anywhere near as much as this area here, so we should be good. I might have a replacement. I'll check. It turns out I do have an extra IFP hanging around. Part number 805-00-027-kit, 0.07, 1.07 bore, okay? So folks, when it comes to removing the IFP, an air can should be more than enough. If it doesn't come out using an air can, chances are you don't have either enough pressure in the air can, or the seal is so worn that air is escaping around the seal, and again, you don't have enough pressure by using an air can in order to be able to push it out. In that case, you're going to need some kind of compressor, something that has a lot more pressure. Now, what you can also do to remove it, we're going to have to disassemble the piston stack over here anyway, right? So what you can do then is use this bearing assembly over here, this assembly, put it back in, and then from the top down, without the shaft obviously, and then from the top down, again, use compressor, use a shock pump, use something to get in there and again, create more pressure in order to be able to push it out. So in our case, what you don't want to do is use picks or whatever he used over here, most likely picks from what it looks like, in order to stab it is what it looks like. Yeah, they tried to gouge. There's like a whole bunch of little gouges in there. So you're going to have a tough time removing it with picks. You don't want to do that, right? Just use pressure and you'll be good. So this is going to get replaced with the new one. We will put them all over here and put all this on the side. So now we're at a part of a service that I would consider optional. If you're not having issue with your dials, you do not need to perform this part of the service as far as I'm concerned, right? Also, I'm going to have to remove the tube later. You do not need to remove the tube in order to change out the seals unless you are experiencing leaks. So you can do this if you want. This is totally optional. If you don't want to do this, then continue to the part of this video later where I get to assembling the damper and bleeding everything and closing it all up, all right? Now, if you're going to do this part of the service, if you are going to work on the dials, I highly recommend if you have bushings to remove the bushings when clamping it, because it's going to want to just constantly move up and down. It's going to be more of a pain in the butt. So just take them out. These are shot anyway. So throw those on the side, okay? So first we're going to start off with the compression dial. This is a 2-position compression, 1.5 millimeter Allen. And loosen it, don't remove it, put it on the side, okay? Then we have our compression knob and we have our rebound. Let's start with the compression knob. This is a 15 millimeter Allen. Now you're better off, 15 millimeter socket. You're better off having a flat chamferless. This isn't a chamferless, right? So be very careful if you have a chamfered socket like I have, right? Put pressure downwards on it. Always push pressure downwards. Help if I was in. There we go, right? Put pressure downwards to get a good grip and just shouldn't be too hard. There we go. That's all it takes. It's just a little bit. This isn't heavily torqued down. The rest we should be able to do by hand. There we go. I'm definitely out. There we go. All right. Now, okay. 2 things. Sometimes this will come out. In fact, I bet you if I take it off, if I turn it upside down. So what happens is sometimes when it comes out, it'll come out with the whole assembly, right? Including the, come on, there we go. Including the spring and this cap at the end over here, just like that. Okay, so that's what we want. We're going to take this whole assembly, we're going to put it on the side. All right, now let's remove the rebound. For the rebound, again, you have a choice over here. Technically, if you don't have a dedicated tool, right, like this one over here for this job, you could use the cap to do it. Personally, I like using this tool because, well, it's more solid, right? As opposed to a 6 millimeter Allen, I have a 3/4 inch socket clamp or socket head that I could use just like this. Let's match it up to the holes, and then once again, and again, this thing too will have a spring and a cap, right? So let's take it off, see if, usually I would do it out in the open like this, but to record it is just easier doing it on the vise. All right, let's make sure, there we go. Okay, so another thing that you'll notice, the spring is red, well, mostly red. I guess some of the red's coming off. So it matches the rebound. So red for rebound, and this one should be blue to a certain extent. And well, not really, but anyway, point B, the red matches the rebound, right? So we're just going to leave them like that on the side. So if we look inside, we're going to see the valve seats. Now these are super optional to remove. You do not need to. There's only one reason, and that's just to check to make sure that there's nothing floating around behind them, right? That everything is seated the way it should be. To remove them, you're going to need special tools, right? So for the compression side, if you have a 2-speed adjust, and this is only for the 2-speed adjust, you're going to need this nipple tool, nipples, Fox and their nipples, man, to remove the compression side. For the rebound side, you're going to need this version over here, which sort of looks like the Rook, whatever they call it, for the rebound side, and the compression side only if it's a non-2-position adjust, right? You're going to need this one. If you had the 2016, the original one, this was the first tool they came up with. So, but they don't really use this one that I know of anymore. Here, we're going to start off with, let's say, the compression side. Now, one thing to note is this is not righty-tighty, lefty-loosey. It's the opposite. Both of these are righty-loosey, lefty-tighty. Do not make that mistake, okay? So we're going to put this tool in here. We're going to grab our socket, okay, and righty-loosey. So there we go. Okay, and then we're going to do the rest by hand. Always do the rest by hand. So we're going to take it righty-loosey. And I'm going to repeat that so you guys don't forget. And then when it comes out, turn it upside down. Okay, the inside is clear. And we are good. What we're looking for over here is to make sure that this C-clip is in its place and these shims aren't floating around, okay? That's all we're doing over here. So what we're going to do now is we're going to take it and put it on the side, put it next to the compression that we just took out, not the rebound, all right? So now we're going to do the same thing to the rebound, except we're going to use that castle tool. Let's put this here like that. And again, righty-loosey, all right? There we go. Hands are all slippery. All right, so it comes out, turn it upside down, and there goes that one. So again, we're just inspecting it to make sure that the C-clip is in place, and it is. And we're going to put that with the rebound. Again, in my case, I need to remove this tube in order to put it into the new eyelet, okay? So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to remove the spring isolator, okay? Now, spring isolators, they're sort of beveled on one side. That's the side that goes in, the flat side goes on the outside, right? I'm going to replace this one. I got a new one anyway. So let's just put this on the side for now over here. All right. So next what we want to do is we want to make sure that this is completely free of grease. So we get a good connection. Now I have a 30.9 over here that we are going to use. Okay. Now, sometimes these could be difficult to work with when it comes to tight settings. You need to make sure that you are free of grease both on the surface of the shock and the vise, or at least the soft jaw. Okay, so let's try that. You could use a wrench, adjustable wrench, Nip-X. I'm going to use, well, my eyelet tool so I can remove it. Okay, so now let's give this a shot. Oh. There we go. And we did it. All right. You do not need to do this. This, in my opinion, is basically only if these two seals are shot, right? Which you will know. Again, there's Loctite red over here. We could use heat actually, but no real need to. So now we are completely disassembled. I'm going to work on the dials. Again, this is totally optional. We're going to break them apart, change the seals in there, and I'm going to put them in this one over here to show you how it's done. But in the end, I'm going to use the new eyelet, attach this one to it, and put it all together and get this job done. So as I mentioned, the dials are optional, right? There's a few easy ones that you can get to. For instance, the ones on the outside over here, right, on each one. And if you pull these caps off, there's also one on the inside. Those are easy to get to, but inside the low speed compression ones, those are going to be a little bit more challenging. Not difficult, but ultimately a little bit more involved, okay? Now, I opened up the seal kit over here. We're going to start using these seals moving forward. Lots of seals. We're not going to use all of them. These are for different years, so on and so forth. Just order them by size so it's easier to find the seals, because some of them are tricky. They're like the same diameter, but ultimately a different thickness, right? So you're better off if you could order them by size. So we're going to start off with our compression knob. First thing we're going to do is we're going to take the spring part and just put it on the side. Then what we're going to do, separate the two over here. Then what we're going to do is we're going to take off this black cap. Right? Now there's a seal on the outside here, and there's a seal on the inside here. Easy enough to do, okay? You could do that easily on your own. Now, this is where it gets a little bit tricky. The low-speed compression has a seal on the inside, okay? You don't have to change it, but some of you are going to have leaks, and you're going to need to change it, and we're going to go over how to get to it. Now, for starters, we need to remove it. This metal ring is a band. Underneath it should be 3 springs and detent balls plus a pin that holds all this together, right? So we're going to be very careful removing this, because if you do this too fast, springs are going to fly out everywhere. You do not want to go searching for these springs. So slowly, with your hand wrapped on it, basically, we are going to push it up. You can see the holes already. And, well, there's a spring right there, right? So we are going to, okay, it should be another, maybe it only has 2 springs. I could have sworn there were 3. So let's slowly move it up. There's the pin. Okay, now be careful over here. We do not want springs to fly out. We want to just gently open it, just like that. Take the ring, put it on the side. There's 1 spring. There's 2 springs. Did one fly out without me realizing it? Okay, that's odd. It only has 2 springs, yet I see a ball inside there. 2 balls and 3 balls. Okay, so that's pretty odd. There should be 3 springs, so obviously somebody must have worked on this. There's 1 ball. Come on. There's 2 balls. 3. Now we have our pin. The pin also came out. Just give it a tap, right? So we're missing a spring. We're definitely missing a spring. Interesting. Okay, I think I have a spare somewhere anyway, but this is going to be a spare dial for me, so I don't have to worry about it. But you should have 3 springs, okay? So now that we remove the pin, we are able to take our 6mm and push this whole mechanism out. Just like that. Okay, so this piece is hollow. We do have an O-ring. We'll get to that in a second. Let's leave that there. Now, inside here, we have our low-speed compression knob. Okay, and that's what we want to separate. First, what I'm going to do, actually, let's make our life easier. Let's just separate this housing. We're going to put that on the side. None of this is complex, folks. Again, this is all, it's only a few parts, okay? So, this is going to be the tricky part. There is a ring on the inside, a C-clip, I should say, on the inside. And what we need is a strong pick in order to deform. Oh, before we do that, what we want to do is grab our 3mm, right? And make sure we are in the fully locked position, all the way clockwise, because we want to give ourselves enough room to access that spring, okay, or that C-clip. So now we're going to grab a strong pick, and our goal here is to deform the C-clip enough where we could remove it. We'll get it back into its shape later. It won't be perfect, but it'll be good enough. Okay, so I just deformed it a little bit. Again, there's like, put the pick on one of these edges over here and try and get underneath the tip part, find the end, and then basically try and get underneath it and push it inwards, okay? I got this one pretty good, actually. So, will it come out on its own? If it doesn't come out on its own easily, what I can do now is grab that 3mm and go counterclockwise to bring the screw out. And this just might bring the entire C-clip out with, ooh, it nearly did. There's a C-clip, right? So it's sort of trapped now. Let me put the thing back inside, clockwise. Let's see if we could access it. This is the trickiest part about this job, is removing this C-clip. It's a pain in the butt, really. I don't like it, but there we go. Okay, so we got our C-clip. Now, with our C-clip out, what we're going to do, it's bent, but we'll fix that. We're going to grab our 3mm again. Okay. And counterclockwise, screw it all the way out. Just keep on going. Now, what we're going to do is create friction on it. So sort of push towards the sides and pull out, but be careful because there's 2 balls in there with a spring in the middle. So we don't want to lose that. Come on, oh, nearly there. We don't want to, there we go, just like that. Oh, there's 1 ball, there's the other ball. Cool. And that is the other O-ring. All right. So let's take these 2, take the balls, take the spring, and there we go. And that is everything. Clean it. I'm going to grab some alcohol. Clean this guy real well. Okay. Clean the balls and the spring best you can. Just that. All right. Now, let's try and remove this O-ring. These little ones could be a little bit tough. We're going to go underneath it with a pick. Right? This one's got some room around it at least. So that you don't stab yourself. And now what we're going to do is try and move it out like that. There we go. All right. Let's put that on the side for now. Let's clean the seat. Make sure everything's clean. Now let's find its replacement. Yeah, it's got to be it right there. Now, for the seal, we need SRAM butter. For the bearings, we're going to need regular waterproof grease, right? Heavier grease for the bearings, for the balls and the spring, basically. So anything that's in the system, SRAM butter, silicoleum, so on and so forth, right? Now, putting this in can be a pretty big challenge sometimes, right? What I find helps, grab a retaining clip plier, which you can do if you don't have a retaining clip plier. You're just going to have to use your nails. You're going to put it on top and squeeze it down. It could be a bit of a challenge getting it over that last hump into this space, right? So if we grab a retaining ring plier, just like that, what we can do is fit it inside, just like that. Give it a bit of a stretch. Okay. Until we get past that bottom seat. Don't overstretch it. Oop. And I lost it. That was all pointless. There we go. And in. Yay. Okay. So now we want to put the spring in. So what we're going to do is we're going to take some thick grease, okay, and put it inside. Just like that. Fill up the hole. We got the spring, put it in, and then we're going to put the balls on either side, and the grease will hold the balls. There's the other ball. Don't mix up your balls. And don't lose your balls. They'll come in handy. Okay, just like that. Let's leave this on the side. Now we have this piece here. Let's clean it real well. Do this. A little bit of alcohol in there. Grab a clean piece of towel. Oh. I don't think I have anything that'll fit in here, you see, do I? Oh, not really. See what I mean? All the dirt that collects in there? That's all dirt and mud. Try and get it all out of there. You'll get better detent clicks without it. Or when it's clean. And basically all this does is block that hole down there, right? So we definitely want to make sure that we are as clean as we can be. So now what we can do is take our low speed compression, make sure you press the balls in. When you put it in, sink it in, grab our 3mm, counterclockwise till we get to that last click. Do not over force that click. See what I mean? All it does is block that hole over there. So to the last click, and do not over force it, just go back to that one click. Now, what we can do over here is we could try and straighten it out with pliers. Actually, you could even use this to try and open it up. Retaining ring, reverse retaining ring. Plier. Come on. There we go. Just like that. Okay. See, we're already a lot rounder than we were before. So what we want to do now is squeeze this guy in here. Okay, just like that. Now we're going to grab our 6mm. Could I do it with my hand, or am I going to need more leverage? Probably going to need more leverage. Come on. Nope. Come on. Ooh, yep, I'm going to need a little bit more force. Grab the 6mm. And come on. There we go. Camera overheated just as I was done seating the clip in the inside. So we could take our 3mm now, and we could test it, bring it all the way to the open position, counterclockwise, okay? Make sure that C-clip's sitting in there correct. Now, don't over-tighten it. Never over-tighten these. These are very delicate. They will stick real quick. So go as far as you can, and then just go back when you can't get one more turn out of it or click out of it, okay? So next we have our high-speed compression knob. We have a seal here on the outside, or on the inside, and a seal here on the outside, right? So let's clean this guy up first, actually. Make sure everything's nice and clean, mostly on this side here. All right. That's actually looking pretty good inside, actually. And let's clean this here. Now, let's take out seal on the outside. It's got to be one of these. Ooh. No, that's not right. These are way thicker. Both of these are the same size just about, but they're way thicker. I don't know, man. I might keep the old one. I don't know how easy it's going to be putting this thing on if I put a thicker seal on there. I mean, I'll give it a shot right now, actually. Regular grease. So let's test this before we do it. This is a good lesson for all of us because there should be a seal that matches it in the kit. And there's definitely not one that matches it. Yeah. Good down. There we go. Oh, that fits. Okay. Well, that was the new one. There's the old one. Done. Well, since we're here, what we can do, well, actually, I still got the one on the outside here, right? So we should have another seal here we need to change on the outside. Let's find its replacement. That's got to be that one there. Oh, yeah. That's definitely this one here. Clean the seat. Clean the threads. Oops, mind frame. Okay. Regular grease on this seal. Put them on. All right, so now what we can do is grab this washer that has like the nipples on it. Put that in. Grab this washer. Put that in. And, well, it fit before. Let's see if it'll fit now. Yep, it fits. Cool. Sweet. So now we put in the low speed compression into the high speed compression. So first we have our hat over here, right? So the first thing we need to do is screw this in, turn the low speed compression counterclockwise, okay? And you'll notice there's a dimple over here. We don't want to go past, right? So we want to be able to see a dimple essentially. Now, if we look at the hat over here, we have three slots that are next to each other and one slot that's on its own, right? Well, if we look at the high-speed compression, we have 3 holes that are next to each other and one that's on its own. So we're going to try and line up the one that's on its own, and we always want to make sure that that dimple falls on top of the hole, right? So we definitely want to be able to see that dimple. Okay, let's grab our 6mm, see if we could turn it a little bit. There we go. Yep, there's the dimple. If I look inside, I can see the dimple. So we have the 3 slots over here, we said, right, on top of the hole. So we're going to take the pin and put it in the middle hole of those 3, okay? And let's move it around a little bit until that pin sinks in. There we go. Nope. Well, let's test it actually. Should not be able to come out. Yep, there we go. So he's not able to come out. Now again, we want to make sure that we see the dimples in the hole. So there's our single hole. Let's turn this, and there is a dimple. I can see it. So now we're going to grab a ball. We're going to put a little bit of SRAM butter, slick honey, whatever you want. Ooh, that's too much. Holy cow. Okay, that's way too much. So let's put the ball inside and put a little bit of, take a spring, put it on top of the ball with a little bit of slick honey or SRAM butter. Oh, come on, man. Get in there. There we go. Okay, and it should sit pretty evenly for the most part, right? So now we're going to do the same thing to another one of the holes. So let's grab, I got more than enough SRAM butter on my fingers for the ball. Let's put that one in. And now cover the spring with a little bit of SRAM butter. Put it on top of the ball. Stick it in there. There we go. Okay. So now it's in, and it's sitting relatively flush, all right? So now what we're going to do is we're going to take this ring. We're going to first place it on evenly across the whole thing, okay? Until you hit the springs. Then when you hit the springs one by one, we're going to sink a spring and slowly raise the ring. This is the tricky part, basically, right? So you want to take your time. I only have 2 because I don't have a 3rd spring. For some reason, it wasn't in here. Again, I'm sure I have one hanging around. And then we're just going to take this until it goes all the way up. This spring's giving me difficulties. And done. There we go. Okay. Let's wipe any excess grease off this thing. Now we could grab our 6mm and give it a shot. We should be able to hear some clicks. There we go. That is working just fine. High speed's working, low speed's working. Our compression dial is done. Grab the spring with the head on top, put it in just like that, sink it, and we are finished. The rebound knob's not all that different, okay? So first we're going to take our spring, we're going to separate it, leave it on the side. Then we have 3 seals again on the rebound knob. We have one on the outside that's very easy to access, right? You could just leave it at that if you want to. We have one underneath this cap, okay? And then we have a small one again on the low speed rebound, like we did the low speed compression, which we have to remove the C-clip in order to get it out, okay? So the first thing we're going to do is remove this cap. To do that, now, if you remember, we were in the fully open position, right? Fully counterclockwise. Leave it there. It's going to make it a little bit easier. What we need to do is grab this ring over here and spin it around until the opening meets the opening of this knob and this housing. And once we do that, we should be able to just easily separate that housing, you see, just like that. So now we could take, well, put this part down, and if you notice, we have, again, one on the outside and one O-ring on the inside that we will change later. So now what we have is our low-speed compression. The low-speed compression removes from this high-speed compression housing. But we need to be careful because in here we have 3 springs and 3 detent balls, okay? And they will want to come out. So to make our life easier, we're going to grab our 3mm and we are going to basically turn this thing counterclockwise, clockwise until it completely comes out. Now be careful, again, we have, it's going to want to come out. We have, there we go, that should be the end. I should be able to just pop this out. I forgot which way. Is it this way? No, yeah. So keep on turning it. And again, we're going to use friction to pop it out. Actually, what am I thinking? I'm doing it wrong. Yeah, we're popping this side out. So just like that. Now, be careful over here, separate it. I was looking at it backwards, right? So, well, one of my balls popped in the wrong spot or is in the wrong spot. I don't know if it just happened just now, but ultimately we have, again, 3 detent balls. The springs, we could access them from here to push out the balls just like that with a pick. Okay, if you notice, I'm pushing out the balls. So the reality is you could just leave it as is. I'm going to take them all out and grease them because, again, this thing, I don't know, even though this is going to be spare dials, because ultimately this whole eyelet is shot, or the eyelet for this thing shot. I'll still clean this up and have it ready for one day in the future if it's ever needed. So we have our 3 springs, our 3 balls, and leave it there, right? Now we have, again, the C-clip. Okay. Wow, this is grindy, holy cow. So basically what I'm doing is I'm turning it fully clockwise. This is so grindy and dirty inside, it's crazy. Actually, I think it's just more the dirt that it's sticking. Okay, we're down all the way fully clockwise to the fully closed position, right? This is going to give us easier access to, once again, try and remove that C-clip. So again, we're looking for the edge of that C-clip. It's real dirty in there. Where's that edge? I can't even see it. So much dirt. Is that it? That should be it. And what we're trying to do is, again, warp it and bend it a little bit in order to be able to remove it. Okay, so now again, what we can do is grab our 3mm and see if we could, wow, it's all the dirt. Need more glue. My hands are too slippery. Come on, so close, I feel it. Yeah, see, the majority of it's out. It's just getting caught on the bottom. So, again, you're just gonna have to go back and forth until this little thing comes out. Not the greatest solution, but again, it would have been nice if they gave us spare clips in the kits, just in case it gets too destroyed. And then your hose. There we go. Now if I bring it back in, that should give me more than enough room to take it out. There it is, just came out. Perfect, okay, so now that it's out, what we're gonna do is take our 3mm, move this out of the way, move that out of the way, and again, all the way counterclockwise until it comes out. Look at all that grindiness, man, that's all dirt inside. Okay, that should be more than enough. And again, we're going to use friction. There we go. Be careful. We have, again, 2 balls in there plus our, oh yeah, there's a lot of dirt in here. And our spring, right? So where's the other balls? Probably on the inside. So again, there's our spring. There's our other ball. So we're going to push them out together. And we are fully separated. Well, I had started cleaning and I realized I wasn't recording, so let's do this again, okay? So first thing we're gonna do is grab a bit of paper towel, put some alcohol on it, clean it. I already cleaned the outside. Good thing I noticed it wasn't recording until at least earlier than later, right? Then what we wanna do is not drop that thing. Take a piece of paper towel, twist it, and put in the hole where the spring goes. And basically clean that hole. Just like that, right? Now, we want to take off the O-ring. Grab a pick, go underneath it. This could be stiff. These small ones are always stiff. Watch you don't stab yourself, which I tend to do with these small ones. go all the way around and pull it out. Let's clean the seat. Okay, now let's find its replacement. I guess, yep, that's got to be it right there. Grab some ceramic butter, put it on there. Now again, what we can do is grab our retaining ring plier, stretch it open, just a little bit, don't overstretch it, and just put it down there until you get it in the seat, and you are good to go. All right, now let's clean our spring. Let's clean our balls. Because we want clean balls, you should always have clean balls. All right, let's clean this ring since we're going to have to fix it anyway, reshape it. Okay, now all that's left is to clean the housing. So we are going to go in there. And this one happened to be, you could feel how dirty it was. Let's see if this will fit. Yep, look at all that. Holy cow. Next day. There was so much grime in there, it was actually sticking because of all the dirt, so not a good thing. Let's try and get it as clean as possible. Now we put it back together. So first thing we are going to do is grab a little bit of grease, put it on our spring. Actually, even better, take a little bit of grease, put on the hole, on each side of the hole. And then we're going to take our spring, we're going to put inside the hole. Then we're going to take our balls, we're going to grab them real good, and we're going to place them on each side of the spring, and the grease should hold it in. All right, just like that. Now, we're going to grab our low speed compression. We're going to put it in. Just be careful over here. Make sure both balls, well, make sure they both go in and one bounced out. I got to do that again. Put that in there. Okay. Get equal friction. Press down and in. Now we turn clockwise. There we go. We're at the end basically. There, now we're at the end. Okay, remember, don't force it. So now we're at the end, right? All it does is block that hole. So now that hole's blocked. So don't force it. Always go one click back if you can't make a full click. Okay, so now we are going to take our retaining ring. Let's try and open it and reshape it again. Actually, that's pretty good shape right there. That's more than good enough. Okay, so now we're all the way down at the fully closed, which means that we are flat at the bottom. Let's grab our 6, see if we could put it in. What we want to do is put it in one side and then squeeze it in the other side. Just like that. Is that in? Yep, that is in. Okay, now we're going to test it with the 3mm again. Turn it counterclockwise, and it comes out, and it's sitting right on the seat, and on the seat clip, and the seat clip is sitting in its seat. Perfect. Again, never force these knobs; they will stick, and you will do damage. Okay, so that takes care of that. All we have left is this O-ring here on the outside. And we have an O-ring on the inside. All right, let's grab a clean towel. Let's just clean the seats. Let's drop our knob. Okay, let's find the replacements. That has to be this one here. Yep, it's this one here. And then this one has to be this one here. Yeah, that's definitely it. Okay, now for this, we're going to put regular grease. Let's put this one in first. That didn't go as planned. There we go. Flat one. And so is that last little bit. There we go. Oop, nearly have it. And we are good. Make sure you're in all the way around. Yes, we are. That's one. Grab regular grease. Now we're going to put it on the outside. All right. Wipe off any excessive grease or excess grease. Now, so first what we're going to do is put the springs back into this housing and then the bearings, okay? So we're going to take the springs, take a little bit of saran butter, just a little bit, all right? Put on the inside. And what we're doing over here, on these sides over here, on the inside, there's a hole. We're going to sink the spring in the hole. All right, so just put on the tip. Okay, I got the camera in my way, I can barely see. Is that it? Yes. And no, thought I had it. It's going to take a couple of shots, but you should be able to get it. So that's one. All right, and we are going to repeat. Next, we're going to put the balls on top of the springs, right? So grab a little bit of grease, put on the pick, and then just place the ball on top of the spring. There we go. Right, just a little bit of grease, just a dab. Just like that. Make sure it's sitting on top of the spring. And the last ball, just like that, right? So, the balls are sitting on top of the spring. Now, we're going to grab the housing like this and grab one of these guides over here. This is the clicks where the balls fall into, and point it towards one of them, towards one of these holes on top, right? Try and align it will make your life easier. We're trying to put this in. Put your thumb in the back over here, and it should just go in like that, right? Just like that. We are in, although it doesn't seem like we're fully round. You know what? I bet you when we click, oh, one of the balls came out. I knew something was wrong. Again, this might take you a couple of shots. Did one of the balls come out? Yep, one of the balls came out. The bottom ball came out. Let's try that again. All right, get in there. All right. Now again, grab one of these slots on top, line it up with the hole to make your life easier. There we go. Yep, that looks more round now. Yep. Okay, now we should be able to actually grab the 6mm. Make life easier. Yeah, 6mm. And we go counterclockwise to screw it in all the way down. And we want this all the way in the fully open position. Why do we want it in the fully open position? Got nice clicks going on, feels really smooth, real stiff clicks. Okay, now we're going to put this back in here. What we want to do is line this little notch in this groove over here, sink it all the way down. Then we're going to grab a pick. We're going to take our little C-clip over here and just put it opposite side of this hole. And we are done. Fully closed, fully open. All right, take the spring, put it on top, and now we're ready to put everything back into the eyelet. Before we install the dials back in, what we're going to do is give this thing a good cleaning. All right. Use some alcohol, clean everything. Clean the threads, clean the seats. Actually, did I ever take out the O-rings from here? I don't think I did, right? Yep, they're still in there, so I'm gonna have to take those out. Clean the inside of the dials. Grab a dull pick. Never use sharp picks. Okay. Clean the threads real well. Backed. Since these are fine threads, make sure. Oh, that's pretty clean. Make sure these threads are all clean. Make sure there's no red Loctite residual. Okay. Now while the rest is drying out, since I put alcohol in there, I'm just going to let it dry out on the inside. What I can do is go in there, grab these two O-rings, one on the top here, which is going to be larger, and one on the bottom, which is going to be smaller. There we go. All right. Once again, let's clean the seats. Okay. Find the replacements. That has to be this one here. This one has to be either this one or that one. Let's see, thickness. They're both the same thickness, both the same size. Yep. Grab this one here. All right. What do I do with lightness? Put a little bit saran butter. Let's put the bottom one in first. Find the seat. Nope, that's the top seat. We want to go to the bottom. All the way down. There we go. Don't mix the two up. Make sure it goes to the bottom seat. Come on. The bottom seat is just above the bottom, basically. There, I got part of it in now. Let's sink the rest in, actually. That's where I made these little picks, plastic picks, where I carved out a space in order to be able to grab little seals like this in deep areas and sink them down. You're already there. Oh, there we go. Now, grab a little bit of saran butter. And let's do the top one, which is actually easier. Okay. And the top one is in. Let's wipe excess grease from the threads. And now we're ready to put our dials in. For the dials, first we need to start with the valve seats, okay? Now remember, we have these special tools. So we're gonna start off with, is that dirt? We're gonna start off with, no, it's not dirt, probably just oil. The rebound valve seat, that needs this little castle type tool, right? We put it in. Now remember, these are the opposite. They're lefty tighty, righty loosey. Always start by hand, okay? This goes all the way down and we go by hand, lefty tighty. Until, don't force it. You'll feel the click. And that's it. Okay, so that's one. We'll torque it in a second. Now we're going to grab the compression. This needs this nipple tool. Okay, and again, I'm going to put it in, all the way in, lefty tighty. So it goes to the end, right? Then we're going to grab our torque wrench, 9 Newton meters. Be precise here, actually. Okay, try and be precise. Am I straight? Yes, I am. And 9.16, good enough. Well within spec. It's plus or minus 5, so make sure this one's in here. Get in there. There we go. Make sure we're straight. 9.07. Sweet. Next we put our dials. So we have our spring. Okay, take the dial, put it in, always by hand. This one is righty tighty. Okay. And since I have it handy over here, again, we could use our cap to help us. Since the other tool is on the table next to me. Always screw it by hand to the end. Then we grab our compression, put that in, got our spring in there, right? Again. Okay, why is it not fitting? Hold on. What am I doing wrong? There we go. Always by hand. Cool. Oops, wrong one. I'm going to grab our 15 millimeter again. Again, always by hand to the end. Just be careful, put pressure on it because, again, I have a chamfered socket. This is better off with a chamferless. Okay, we're at the end with that one. Let's make it to the end with this one. Okay, this one's at the end, and now we torque it. Again, 9 Newton meters. Let's do the rebound first. Set the nipples in place. And there we go, 9.23, good enough. Now again, with a chamfered socket, be careful. We want to put pressure down. Take your time here, don't rush this. We do not want to strip that nut. It's very easy to strip. It's not going to be easy, actually. This would be a lot easier if I was on the vise. Okay, there we go. All right, and 9.13. Cool. Now we take our dial. This is whatever your preference is, but I'm just going to keep it like this. Okay, so if I could find the 1.5, there's the 1.5. Take it, put it, come on. Tighten it in there. And our eyelet is done. Now this is a spare eyelet, so I'm going to put it on the side because again, this one's cracked, but I'm going to keep these knobs because they're still functional, right? I mean, we could test it to make sure everything's working great. Yep. Our rebound's working great. High-speed compression's working super smooth, actually. Rebound's working super smooth. Before, this thing barely moved. I didn't need a lot of force. The 3mm was in really, really bad shape. Let's test that one. The rebound 3mm was in super... Oh, look at that. Look how smooth that is. Holy cow. So these are working perfectly. Yep. Everything is working perfectly. Yay. Cool. Now, before we screw on the eyelet onto the body over here, we need to make sure that we remove all the existing Loctite red. Already went at it with a brush, a wire brush, but we need to make sure that we don't have any bits in between the threads. We want to get the best possible connection over here. All right, so if you see any bits just like that one there, we want to make sure we get it removed, or we remove it, I should say. See what I mean? To make sure that we don't have any spaces. See what I mean? It doesn't look like much, but it's more than you think. I removed all the Loctite red. Next, what I'm going to do, since this one is brand new, I'm going to take a little bit of grease on a Q-tip, actually, and I'm going to put on the outside of these seals, since this is brand new, and I'm sure they see it looks like they greased it, but just in case. Now what we're going to do is grab our Loctite red. We are going to make sure we have no grease on those threads. So take alcohol, clean them real well. Open up our Loctite red. Take some, put them right on top. Just like that. Don't put too much. There we go. More than enough. Okay. Now we're going to take them. Going to screw it in. Until it goes to the base, as much as you can by hand. All right, now, grab some alcohol, get a clean towel, make sure we have no grease on the base. Then we're going to put in our 30.9. All right. Now, I'm going to grab my eyelet. You could use a crow's foot or my eyelet tool. You could use a crow's foot or whatever you got that will allow you to torque it. 16 Newton meters. All right. So we're going to take it, 90-degree angle, put it in there, make sure it's straight, and 16.69. Not too bad. The spring guard, I have a new one. I'm just going to put a new one in there. Again, it's beveled on one side. The beveled side goes in first, just like that, and put it all the way down. And this one over here that's all beat up, I'm just going to toss on the side and throw it out. We are done with this for now. Next, we are going to work on our shaft. First thing I'm going to do, just to make my life easier, I'm going to take off the bushings. There we go. That's one. And two. We're going to clamp down. Now this is what I was talking about. This nut over here is the new style nut, part number below. You definitely want this nut. The other nut had a self-locking mechanism. It was a steel nut with a locking mechanism, and it had such a tight grip that it would literally damage the shaft, right? That's why if you have a 16, 17, or 18 version of this shock, you definitely want to consider getting the shaft when doing a full service for the first time and get this nut. From that point on, you don't need to get a new shaft, right? I just got a new shaft just in case. Everything's going to be pretty much brand new over here. So to take off that nut, we have, what is it, a 11 millimeter, okay? So 11 millimeter, do it by hand first. Just loosen it. Now, be careful here. Hopefully you can see this well. All right, let's take the nut. In fact, what we're going to do, let me put all this on the side for now. Let me put a new paper towel down here. Now, grab a tie wrap. There's a dimple in here. Put the tie wrap in the dimple. Then we're going to lift everything into the tie wrap, the whole assembly, shims and all, okay? So just like this, be very careful. Now I'm going to separate them to make sure, because I have no idea what the history of this shock is. But for now, we're just going to put it on the side. Then we're going to take the spacer. Underneath the spacer, we have a top-out bumper, which is sort of flattened out, but let's leave that on the side just like that. And then we're going to take out our bearing assembly. Now in my case, oh yeah, we have our bumper. I'm going to be changing the shaft. So first we want to inspect the shaft in your case, right? Make sure there's no dings on it. If there's any kind of, there's actually a lot of wear over here. If there's any kind of scratches on the shaft, you're done. You got to change the shaft, because ultimately this seal over here will not be able to seal around any kind of nicks or scratches on the shaft, and you will just keep on getting air and oil leaks, okay? You got to make sure that you have no grease on the shaft. And grab some heat. And we are going to warm up the Loctite red that's in there. There we go. Yep, we have it. Cool. Now what we're going to do is clean all the Loctite red on the inside of this one, okay? So we want to make sure there's nothing in there. We want to get a nice clean connection onto the new shaft. Cleaned all the Loctite out of the mount over here. Took the new shaft out of the package. Let's clean it with alcohol. Make sure we have no grease residuals or anything on the threads, because we are going to put Loctite on there. Okay, so I'm going to take Loctite red, put on the top threads just like that. A good amount all the way around. Let it sink into the threads. Blow it in there. Now we're going to take it, put it into our 8mm again. All right. Now we're going to take the mount, screw it in by hand until we can't do it anymore. Okay. Then, again, you could use a crowfoot if you have one. I'm going to use my eyelet tool, 9 Newton meters. Make sure that, well, we're not tight enough. Oh, still spinning. We are still spinning. It needs to be tighter. That's the problem with these plastic ones sometimes. Okay, let's try it this way. There we go. Next, we're going to take our bumper. I cleaned it a little bit. We're going to put it on here. There we go. All right, now we work on the bearing assembly. There are 3 seals on this thing. One of them is on the outside here. Let's take this one out. The other one is this blue ring here. Now this one here is the one that typically fails. Okay. Wow, that just bounced out somewhere. Oh well. And then on the inside, we have a U-cup. Okay. Now the U-cup, grab a pick and put it out of its spot just like that. And we should be able to get it from the bottom. Be careful you don't scratch the bushing on the inside. And that one just bounced out. Cool. Now what we're going to do is grab alcohol and clean the seats as best as you can. Okay. You want to make sure that the sides of both the U-cup and that seal, that blue seal, forgot the name of it, are sitting perfectly on the edge. Okay. go to the inner one. Make sure you don't touch the walls with the pick. All right, let's do that again. Let's inspect the bushing on the inside. Make sure that there's no gouges in it, because that's not good. Yep, that looks good. Here's our U-cup, and here's our blue seal. And since we're here, let's find a replacement for this one. That's not it. That's got to be it right there. Yes, it is. Out with the old, in with the new. So the first thing we're going to do is put the U-cup on that inside seal over here, okay? Now, U-cups are directional. They need to go towards the force of pressure. So in this case, oil is on this side, right? And oil is going to want to push out. And basically what happens with U-cups or skirt seals, whatever you want to call them, it will push out the sides against the walls, but they can't take force on this side. So we don't have to worry about this force on this side. If this was, let's say, a X2, we would have oil on this side and air on this side, right? So we would need one of these hard seals in order to protect it from both sides. But U-cups basically only work from one side. So we need to make sure that this cup part is facing the inside where the oil is, and that would be this side over here, okay? So what I like doing is grab a flat spatula, put a little bit of grease on it, and fill up the seat for the U-cup. Okay, just like that. Then grab the U-cup, even though we have grease on the inside. Don't worry about it. These greases are compatible with the oils, so it's not an issue. So again, we want the cup to be facing down towards the threads, right? So what I'm going to do is put it in on one side. Okay. Hold it back. There we go. One side's in. That side's in. And we're nearly done. Oops, just try and pop off the bottom. We don't want that. Let's tuck it in. Damn it. Ooh, nearly there. Oh, so close. So close. Just this little bit over here. Oh, damn it. There we go. Now we are in. We could test them. Yep. If you're able to put a pick under it, you should feel the bottom of the skirt or the inside of the skirt, which I could feel. If I go on this side, I don't feel the skirt whatsoever, all right? So that takes care of that. Let's clean the top here of grease. Okay, now we are going to install the blue seal up here, just like that, on the inside. Awesome. All right. So make sure there's no grease on this. We do not want to attract grease. So clean any grease off of it. Now let's take a little bit of grease, put on this seal here. Too much grease. Put this one into its seat. Just like that. Clean any excess grease. Always with the overheating today. I don't know what's going on with the camera, but our bearing assembly is done, right? So now we have our top out bumper. Let's swap this one out, right? So that's the old one. This is the new one. And then inside our spacer, we have a seal. Let's remove this seal since we're here. Okay, find the new one. All right, let's clean this out. Make sure we're clean in here. Okay, a little bit of grease on this seal. Now we're going to take it, squish it on one side. Need to make sure it's sitting on seat on one side, and then we should be able to squeeze in the rest. There we go, sitting on one side. Let me actually, where's my bigger one? It's better. This one. There we go. Okay. Now, when it comes to installing them, you could try and install them as is just like this, but you take a risk. This is a pretty sharp edge, right? And you could tear your seal putting it in there. Also make sure you got no grease on your seals. Okay, so what Fox makes is a bullet tool basically, right? Part number, what is that? 398-00-797. Put this one on there, put a little bit of grease on the outside, and then we could safely take the bearing assembly, put it in. Then we could safely take the top out bumper, put it in. Yep. And then we could put in the seal. I mean the spacer. For the shim stack assembly, there's not all that much to do but inspect everything, right? There's definitely no seals in here to change. So what you want to do is just go through the whole thing and make sure you don't have anything that's damaged or, you know, anything that doesn't look normal, essentially. So what I am going to do is separate it all just to make sure, okay? So I'm going to start off with the bottom. Make sure there's no shims. One by one, I'm going to put them in order. So here we have 3 spacer shims, right? These are all the same size. That 3 of them, yes, that is. Actually, we got 4 of them. There's another one. So again, be careful. These things stick together like magnets. Just when you think you have one, it could be 3. Okay, there's another one. And you just keep on going. You don't have to, by the way. I'm just doing this just so I can be sure, so I can feel more comfortable that everything's in good shape, because I have no idea of the background on this shock. Yeah, they're pretty dirty, actually. So that's why I wanted to do this more than anything. And that's pretty much it. Now, if we look at the piston, this side is sort of humped out, right? This side's flat. So the flat side is at the top. The hump side goes towards the shims. So now we have the option over here. We can change the glide ring. I highly recommend not changing the glide ring because sometimes they're not all that easy to get to. Now we have 2 glide rings in the kit. They're different sizes because there's different size pistons for different models of, or different versions of this shock, right? So ultimately this one's too big, so that won't fit. It's going to be the smaller one. So should you change it? If it's not damaged, I would not change it. If you do change it, you do take a risk. It is a little bit tricky. I'm going to change it, right? But I highly recommend you don't change it, okay? So first, we need to get underneath it, which is always the tricky part. Let's see if we could do it this. I'd rather get underneath it without damaging and without scratching the piston. All right, so try and squeeze it together with your fingers and then get underneath it. I'm going to need my other pick, I'm sure of it. I have one pick that usually works real good. Let's try this one. It's similar to this one, but this one's not as sharp. Okay, so now I have no choice. I'm going to have to replace it because I've damaged it. Again, don't do this unless yours is already damaged. There we go. Okay, so now we're going to take it out. Come on. Okay. This one's shut. Then we have our new one. So we also have a seal on the inside. That's right. We have a seal that acts like a spring. So let's take this seal out. It pushes against the, come on, glide ring. Holy cow. Why is this thing giving me such a hard time? Come on, get it. Crying out loud. Where's the other one? Well, let's see if I can do it with this one here, actually. Oh, came out. What do you know? How did that bounce out? That's weird. All right, I'll take it. So let's find its replacement. Let's just grab a little bit of grease. Put on this one. Then let's make sure the seat is clean. Again, highly recommend you do not do this. It really isn't worth it. And I don't have a piston band for this either. So hopefully everything goes in smooth. Okay, now what we can do is just make just a thin layer of grease. Now here we want to be careful. We want to insert it as evenly as possible. Okay, we do not want to overstretch it. If we overstretch it, there's ways to deal with it, but ultimately we want to be very delicate over here. Okay, that's going to be the easier side. I don't remember. I think they're both the same basically. Yep. So let's. Yep, they're both the same. This is what I thought. So again, as evenly as possible, we want to put it in without over. Let me move these guys out of the way before. See, that's not even, right? So again, we want to basically just grab a bit of the edge, just like that, and just move it all the way around, just like that. And then use your thumb to sort of force one whole side out, stretch it out a little bit until your fingernail gets on the other side, and then you could be able to put it down just like that. Okay, and technically we could test it to make sure that, yep, we got a nice fit. It'll fit inside. Sweet. Cool. Now we can start putting it all back together again. So again, the step part goes towards the shims. The flat part goes towards the top, right? And then one by one, what I'm going to do is clean the shims and put them all back in. Just like that, by missing it. Let's clean the dirt off of it. Okay. Next, now this one over here is going to go around the one we just put in. And the rest, just make sure this one stays around it just like that, right? That's what we need over here. Now, just to be safe, let's sandwich it in there. Okay. Let's make sure we are sandwiched real well. There we go. You'll feel it. And the last one. And we have our head just like that. Okay. Now we put it back on. To put it back on, we're going to be careful. Again, let's take the end of the tie wrap and put it inside that dimple. And then be very careful here and make sure everything correctly aligns, because it's easy for it to fall off. There we go, just like that. Make sure we're sitting well. Okay, then we're going to grab our nut. We're going to put a little bit of Loctite right on the inside. Just like that. I'm going to put it on by hand first. Clean the excess Loctite red. Take our 11mm. Then 9 Newton meters with a torque wrench. .08. Our piston assembly is done. Let's finish up the rest of the seals first. So here's the IFP. Now I have a new IFP. I'm going to use the new one, right? Because somebody obviously hacked away at this one. But I just noticed something. Is it still there? Nah, it's not there. There was an air bubble. When the IFP seals start wearing, air starts escaping. You can literally see it, right? So in this case, if it was you, if this is you and you don't have a damaged IFP, right? It is usable, but I already had one. That was actually given to me by mistake, and that's why I have it. So we take out the seal, find the new one, which is this one here, All right, let's clean the seat well, clean everything well. All right, now what I do, I always put grease on the inside of the seats. All right. Okay, and then I take the IFP, seal the O-ring, put it on. Then we clean, oops, holy cow, that was unexpected. And we clean, well, that was really unexpected. What's going on here? And my voice is going. Okay, and that's it. But I'm not going to use this one, so I'm going to put it on the side. I have a new one here. If I could open up the kit. There we go. And what I'm going to do is put grease on the side of the new one. In fact, you know what? I'm going to take out the seal. I got to get the other bottle. Oops, that's too much. That's a ridiculous amount. We'll get rid of the rest. Okay. Let's put this guy back on. Wipe off any excess. All right. Then what we're going to do is we are going to clean our tube. Scratches on the outside don't matter. It's scratches on the inside that significantly matter. Inspect it. Make sure you got no scratches, no dings, gouges, anything. Clean it real well. That's looking clean inside. Nothing wrong with it. Okay. Cool. We have another O-ring right here. Okay. Let's clean this part real well since it is exposed to the outside. Sort of. See what I mean? Dirt somehow gets in there even though there's a whole cap that covers it. Okay. Find a replacement O-ring. That one's it. Put a little butter on it. Sticolium, whatever you like. Put it on the outside. Drop it just like that. Let's clean the seat clip so we don't bring any dirt with it. When we close it all up later, let's clean our cap. There's another seal on it. Right over here. Find a replacement. And that one is it. A little bit of grease on it. Make sure the seat is clean. Since this is definitely exposed or has more potential for exposure. Let's put this back on. And now we're ready to put it all together and bleed. So when it comes to bleeding this thing, I got my little process over here, and I know some people might think it's overkill, but I don't care. It works for me. It's always been basically flawless for me. So first thing I'm going to do is clean all grease off the air can. Okay, then we're going to take a piece of shipping tape, actually clean your table with alcohol, make sure there's no grease on it. Okay, cut about 6 inches of tape and put the non-sticky side down. Okay, well, that's less than 6 inches. Hopefully it's enough. That should be more enough. Then we're going to cut an equal piece. Okay, equal length. Then we're going to cover it halfway. All right, just like that. Now, what we can do is make it even. Cut. Okay, now what we're going to do is take the sticky side and wrap it around the reservoir so we create an extended funnel to make our lives a little bit easier, because this could make a big mess, and I don't like it when it makes a big mess. Okay, so now, next what we're going to do, make sure you have your rubber glove and a rubber band handy. Okay, now we are going to take our 3mm. First, we're going to make sure that, let's put this off here. First, we want to make sure that we're in the fully open position. Then we're going to take our 3mm, turn it counterclockwise. Don't force it, just go to the end. If you can't make it, if you don't feel another click coming lightly, just go back to the last click. So now we put it back in here. So I happen to have 5-weight R3. I want to get rid of the bottle, but go with 4-weight if you could go with 4-weight, right? If you have 4-weight. So the first thing we're going to do is slowly, and I mean slowly, fill up the damper body. The slower you go here, the better. Okay? Because we want the oil to fill up all small ports on this side. Just take your time, let it empty out. It'll want to equalize basically, right? And we want it to fill up as many of those little ports in there as possible, because you saw what those dials look like. So just take your time to let it empty to the other side, let it equalize. See what I mean? Bubbles are coming out. I can see oil going on this side. It's starting to fill up. You can see the oil slowly coming up. And there we go. The oil's pretty much near the top, and you can even see bubbles coming out on top of the oil, right? So just do this slowly at first. There's no rush here, folks. Outside of this camera probably overheating. See what I mean? And you see the bubbles? So now what we're going to do is we're going to take, as we're filling it up, we're going to move our knobs. See what I mean? Look at the bubbles coming out from just moving the knobs, right? And we're going to do that to all the knobs. Okay, so just keep on turning knobs for both low speed and high speed. I just did the high speed. Let's do the low speed. Compression and rebound. Always leave it at the fully open position when you're done. The more we get out of the system now, the easier it is going to be later. The whole idea is to not overfill it one shot. Let it fill up. See all those little bubbles coming up? That's all bubbles we're going to have to deal with later anyway. So you might as well get rid of as many as you can now. It's looking a lot better. See, there's still little bubbles coming out. I don't know if you guys, hopefully you guys can see that clearly. Now let's fill it up. Not to the top, but close to. Okay. Oh, look at that, more bubbles coming out. Okay. That's why I like putting the extra tape as an added reservoir. Look at all the bubbles coming up. All that force from. So what we're going to do now, take the rubber band. So I could do this. See? Now I'm going to keep on doing this until I get to a point where I really don't see any bubbles, right? For like the better part of a minute straight. This is where I can let the camera cool off before it's going to overheat, I'm sure, in a second. So, all right, I'll be back. Right now, we're looking pretty good. There's not much air coming out whatsoever, actually. So we are going to put the inner tube in next. Now, you can put a thin layer of grease over here if you want, but considering the oil, you don't need to. We just need to make sure it sits in the seat inside those. You'll hear it snap in when it's seated correctly. All right, so try and get it with your fingernails and force it into the, shouldn't come up, oops, there we go. Right, you'll feel it snap in when you get it right. So cool, that takes care of that. Now what we're going to do, we're going to put the IFP in and then we're going to fill it with oil, right? So for the IFP here, we need to be a little bit careful because we do have a lot of oil in it. So when you hit the reservoir, be careful. There we go. Now don't push it all the way in, just leave it near the top, okay? There's a reason for that. Leave it enough where we can put the retaining clip in, okay? So that's deep enough. Actually, maybe a little bit deep. Put it in about, let's say, a full 1.5 centimeters or 1/2 inch, give or take. Okay, so that's in. Now what we're going to do is we are going to fill this side up to the top. Okay, let's remove any bubbles. Now we're going to take a thin coat of grease, put it on the edge over here where the inner tube sits. Not that you really need a lot, right? Technically, you could also put it on the band, but we don't need it. There's already oil in there. And I mean a super mega thin coat. Now make sure this is all the way down. We're going to take it. We are going to slowly roll it in. No rush over here. Oil will come out. You got to go inside the tube, sink it in the tube, start turning until we reach bottom. Make sure the shaft doesn't sink. Just makes our job easier later. Do it till you can't do it by hand anymore. Grab your Nipex or whatever you're using until it locks down. Okay, and then I'm gonna grab my torque wrench, 29 millimeter in this case, crow's foot at 16 Newton meters. Okay. There we go, 16.4. We are good. What we're going to do now is take the rest of this oil that's in that reservoir. All right, let's remove this. Since this is all good oil, let's put this back on here. Let's remove well, we have a bit of an issue. The IFP came up. Great. Great. That sucks. When I put this in, the IFP came up. I should have put the... It's okay. We could deal with it. Not an issue. It's going to be part of the next step anyway. For the second part of the bleed, we're going to need our bleeding tool on a syringe, okay? So part number was in the tool section. Ultimately, you could build your own. Just go get a syringe and then go to your local hardware store and get a plumbing tool that's basically a 1/8 tube connector with threads that'll fit into, well, they don't have to fit, the threads don't have to match. You could just force them in like I do, basically using tape, right? Or plumber's tape. And these things cost like $1, if not like 60 cents or something like that. So it's not expensive. So ultimately, what we need to do now is remove the bleed screw using a 2 millimeter Allen. Okay. Now make sure that the O-ring comes with it, because sometimes it doesn't. All right, so let's just leave that on the side. Now what we can do is, hey, where's the container? There it is. Since the IFP had popped out, what we can do is force it in now until we get to a point where we could put in the C-clip. All right, just like that. Perfect. Okay, now we put this guy in here. So from here on, what we're going to be doing is compressing the shock to try and get oil into the syringe in order to remove any remaining bubbles, right? Now, what this is also going to do is move the IFP, right? So if we press down on the syringe, the IFP will force towards the C-clip, right? And basically, the whole goal over here is to remove air bubbles just like that. Hopefully you can see that good. See the way the air bubbles are coming out? Put this at the highest point. Hopefully I got a good angle here. All right, give them time. Squeeze. Now you got to also push in the IFP as much as you can with your hands. This could be a little bit challenging, right? Use your fingers, squeeze it in. It's an odd spot, I know, but what are you going to do? Okay. All the way in, and then push all the way out. Okay, and basically that's what we're doing. We are going back and forth, trying to remove as much air as we can. The big one is getting the IFP. Use your thumb, push it all the way in. All right, see how much oil comes out when you push the IFP all the way in. And then, could you see that? Hopefully you can see that. Then let's push that in again. Let's push the IFP in. Make sure all your knobs are in the fully open position, right? Okay. Let's push everything out. All right. I can still hear it. You'll hear air going through the shims. Hear that? So that means there's an air bubble in there. There you go. See what I mean? And you're going to keep on repeating this until you hear no noises coming out of here outside of the rubbing of the seal, the glide ring. Okay. All right, let's push the IFP in again. All right. Let's fill the system back up again and repeat. See what I mean? Give it time. Air bubbles don't move through this oil real quick, right? So there's oil breaking up in here into little bubbles. You need them to collect and come up. So just give them time. All right. Now what you can do is also pulse the system, vacuum pulse it to agitate bubbles in there, right? You don't want to vacuum the system as a whole, but you want to vacuum pulse it on occasion. Okay. Let's fill up the system again. There we go. Bring it down, push the IFP in. All the way down. Fill it all up. Bring it up on its own, and then much quieter already. Not to say we're done, but it's definitely sounding better. All right, folks, so that's pretty much it. You're going to keep on doing this until you're able to go, let's say, 4 or 5 full cycles of pushing the shock up and down, pushing the IFP in and out, filling it all up with the syringe, putting pressure into the system, oil pressure into the system, just like that. I'm not picking it up. I'm letting the syringe do that, right? At the same time, it's also pushing the IFP out. And once you get no air bubbles, then you are ready for the last step. So I bled the shock. We're at a point where I see no air coming out of the oil no matter what I do, okay? So we are doing real well over here. Next is to set the IFP. But before we do that, we have one more seal we need to take care of, and that's the seal on the bleed ring. Since we're here, might as well swap that one out. That is this one over here. All right, I got oil in my hand. Let's take this guy and put him on there. Let's prep them with the 2 millimeter. Okay. Now, when it comes to setting the IFP, we don't want to hold the shock on the vise on this side over here. We absolutely want to turn it around basically and connect it with the eyelet part, because the weight of this guy, believe it or not, could sink this shaft while you're trying to set the IFP if you stand him up, right? This is pretty heavy compared to the pressure that's inside. So again, there's no air bubbles coming out. What we are going to do is apply pressure, make sure everything, the IFP is all the way out, make sure that the shaft is all the way out, okay? Now, when it comes to setting the IFP for the DHX2 2016 to 2020, 1.343 inches, which is about 111.32 fractions and 34.11 millimeters, okay? Now you could use a caliper. It's gonna be a little bit difficult, but it could be done. I like using this FOX tool. This is a great tool in my opinion for setting IFPs. What I do is use the caliper to make sure that even though it's got like letters over here, numbers over here, it's real small and hard to see if you're precise. So I use a caliper and I make sure this side and this side touch, which means that I am set to 1.43. So the way this is going to work now with this tool, which is nice, all I have to do is push it in, okay, to our depth. That's going to fill the top up with oil. Like I said, this can be stiff with a caliper, and the reason I really like this tool, you cannot overshoot with this tool. That's the nice thing about it, right? So now we are there. So now we remove the adapter. Okay, make sure that we are filled with oil above. Fill it up, just like that. Don't touch the rest of it. And now we take our bleed screw and we put it in until it hits the base. And we are bled. Next, we are going to remove the retaining ring. Be careful with it. Just use your fingers. Just remove it just like that. Then we want to put in our IFP cap. Now, what you can do just to play it safe, press down on the Schrader valve as you're putting it in. All right, so we don't build up pressure. Actually, before we do that, hold on. Take a little bit of grease. Put it inside, just a little bit of SRAM butter. Okay, just like that. Now, we can take the cap and basically sink it past the ring. There we go. Put the ring back in. It's all the way down there. No, it's right there. Oh, for crying out loud. One side, two, nope. I'm missing the back. Okay, I don't know where it's at, but we got this one here. Let's just lift the back, be careful over here. There we go. That is in. And we take our shock pump. 125 minimum, 150 recommended by Fox Tech Services guys, right, for the DHX. So between 150 and 125 and 150. A little too high there. I'm going to go to 150. They claim that they've learned it does better at 150 than it does at 125. I hate being picky sometimes. There we go. Then we're going to grab our cap with a 6 millimeter Allen. Screw that one down all the way. Oops, sorry about that. Done, don't over tighten it. And we are ready to test it. To test it, we're just gonna do it on the vise, right? I got the dyno, but you guys probably don't, and you could absolutely test all the functions on a vise. So what I'm gonna do is have everything in the open position, press down, and that comes up real nice. No squishy noises, I just hear the glide ring, and that's great. Put it into the firm mode, and that needs, oops, firm mode. And that needs a lot of pressure. So it's not a lockout, it's just a very firm pedal mode, and that needs a lot of pressure, so that's doing great. Now let's test our low speed compressions first, or low speeds first, right? So let's take our low speed compression, bring it all the way to the close position. Again, don't force it, right? Okay, definitely feel more pressure. Definitely feel more pressure. Let's bring it to open. Actually, let's test both knobs in the close position. Okay. Now, high speed, you're really not going to feel it all that much, to be honest. So, because that's like big impacts. Oh, actually, I'm lying. I could feel it. Actually, yep. So high speed is definitely working, and working like a charm, actually. So, yep. If I put hard, fast pressure, it locks, so that's good. Let's open that up. I was thinking high speed rebound. Okay, so that's open. Let's open up compression. So now it's easy again. Now let's close low speed rebound. Well, that takes its time. Let's open up low speed rebound. So we know that's working. That's working real good. Now, high speed rebound. This one is the one that I don't think we're going to see that much of an effect. Yeah, that's what I thought. So that one's hard to tell. Leave it open. So basically, we are working great. Everything is as it should be. Ta-da! And there you have it, folks. You just finished fully servicing a FOX Factory Series DHX2 shock. Again, this is a 2020, but the video will work for 2016 to 2020. This is not a hard job, and you could really make it simple by only dealing with the damper and the reservoir. If you don't have any issues with your dials, then let them be. There's no reason to go in there and mess with them or change seals unless you have leaks going on. There's no reason to take out the outer tube unless, again, you have leaks going on. Ultimately, doing just the reservoir and the damper will cut this job down to about a half hour max, especially once you get used to it, okay? So stay on top of it. I highly recommend, if you own a DHX2, X2, well, DHX2s and X2s primarily, definitely learn how to service them. They're great shocks, but they could unpredictably fail because these seals, well, they could go at any time, and they'll let you know when they're gone, right? So being able to learn how to deal with that on your own is going to be a lot cheaper and a lot quicker, all right? Outside of that, there's not much to be said about this thing. Just make sure it's all clean. Remove all grease from the outside from the service. As you're riding it, keep this area around here clean. Don't let too much mud and crap build up around here, because that can help wear the seal over here. Well, you just might have to service it sooner than you want, all right? So, folks, if you like this video, please click that like button, click that subscribe button to see more videos, click that bell button, ding, in order to get notified when new videos get released, and more videos like this are coming. If you want to see a couple of videos, for now, there's 2 over there that might be of interest. And until the next time, I hope all is well with all of you, and we will be talking to you soon. Take care. Have a good one. Bye.